there you are. Come in, come in. Sit back, relax, put your feet up, put your hands down, and come along for a fantasy ride that you'll wish you'd never found.
Smart Sound.
And on today's show, we've got the irreplaceable, as always, Benjo Tinker Taylor.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Right, let's get going, shall we? So, Ben, tell me about the time you operated on yourself.
Yeah, that does take me back. It certainly does. Now, are you much of a plumber, Austen? What's your understanding of the process of bleeding a radiator? It doesn't need to be in depth, but what do you think that means?
Oh, well, I don't know the specifics of it, but I remember when I was young, my dad was always shouting about the bleeding radiator. I don't know. I think, I guess it's letting the radiator juice out of it, is it?
In the radiator or water, as it's commonly known. See, okay. You're absolutely right. I didn't know this at the time of the event in question. So, Go back a few years now. I was a student living in the big city of Plymouth.
Wow. Okay, the sprawling metropolis.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Had a lovely little student flat. I lived there with a friend of mine, and he was away one weekend. I came down after what, in my mind, was a very debauched night, of free love and whiskey flowing. In reality, it was probably me with a pot noodle. So I'm there in the flat by myself. My housemate and friend is away for a week or so. I come down and it's bloody cold. It's probably November, December time.
So why were you there? Sorry, just a random visit, or?
Well, it's where I lived.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
I had just gone round to my friend's house when he wasn't there. Walked in and gone, oh, it's a bit chilly.
That's where my head went. Okay, Okay, good. So we've established thrice times that that's your house we're talking about.
Beyond reasonable, but I was legally allowed to be there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I come down. It's pretty chilly. And I think, I checked the thermostat first of all. Everything is as it should be. And I think, I know what's happened. The boiler needs charging, whatever they call it. When you turn a little tappy bit underneath.
Oh, the tappy bit. Yeah.
And it makes a sort of watery sound. And then you turn the tap off, and the boiler works again. Now, this had happened a few times while I'd been living in the house.
Sure. And
I consider myself quite a man of the world.
It was an old house, was it, or was it some?
It was an old house. No, it was an old Edwardian house, but a fairly modern. Despite it being Plymouth, fairly modern sort of boiler and plumbing system. Yeah.
Okay.
So I noticed that it's cold. I stride over to the boiler, thinking, I've done this before. I'm a man of the world. I'll just sort this out. I'll do the twiddly thing with the tap underneath. We'll be well on the world. I'll be able to drop my dressing gown to the floor in no time and parade around the living room as nature intended.
Just like one of James Bond's girls.
Yeah, it was an issue because it was genuinely a ground floor flat, which opened onto a fairly busy street. So, probably shouldn't have been doing that, especially considering the letters, the cease and desists that I had from neighbours. But,
it was a time of the era of free love, apparently. So.
I was just going to say free love. So go and twiddle with the boiler. I think, that'll sort itself out. About 10 minutes goes by, nothing. Boiler hasn't clicked back on. I think this is a major issue. Go and have a twiddle with it again. Boiler does click on.
And then boiler. Oh, okay. Yep.
I think, right, fine. Sorted. Lovely. Make myself a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Still bloody freezing, isn't it?
Oh, my God.
Boiler's working. I'm still cold. So I go over to the radiator. Nothing coming from it, is there? Nothing at all. It's sat there. Nothing radiating from it at all. It's not doing its job. So I have a little look around the radiator. No, don't know what's going on. So at this point, I've reached the extent of my plumbing know-how, which is, you know, I'm sure you'll agree, fairly impressive.
You're a man of the world.
Yep.
By your own admission.
Yep. Go on.
Had you joined the Navy at this point? Had you?
No, that was this was about 2 years before I did that, actually. Yeah. So at this point, I've got two choices. I can either phone my dad.
Yeah.
But
lose all his respect.
Exactly.
Yep.
Of which he didn't have very much anyway.
You didn't want to jeopardize anything you'd accrued to that point, I assume. No,
exactly. I also had at uni at the time, and this is completely true, as of course is the rest of the story.
But it's good to.
I had a strange habit of when very, very drunk. I don't remember it being deliberate, but I definitely used to happen.
Weeing in the radiator.
No.
Turning the radiator off. Yeah.
No, I had a strange habit of phoning my mum when incredibly drunk. I think this must have been by accident, just looking through my phone.
That's so weird, though, because I used to phone your mum when incredibly drunk as well.
Well, you want to speak to her on buy one get one free Thursdays, mate. That's when you really want to cash in.
Exactly. And when my radiator's on the blink.
Yeah, that's it. I think I've seen that one actually. So yeah, I used to phone her, and when fairly inebriated, I think it was accidentally, but so my parents had pretty much lost all respect for me by this stage. You know, when your son phones you at 3 a.m, absolutely out of his mind on Plymouth Hoe.
Is that what you called it?
It's a place. Oh, come on now. Come on. Yeah. This is a highbrow podcast, okay?
Is it? Okay, yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of respect for him anyway. So I took the other option, which was to phone the landlord. And so I called him and I said, Dave, his name was Dave. I've got an issue with the radiators. It's the boiler's working, but there's no heat. He said, who the hell is this? I said, it's Ben. He said, Ben who? And I said, it's your tenant on Connaught Avenue. He said, which one? I forgot that he owns nearly all of the houses on Connaught Avenue.
Oh, I see. Did he have an accent or anything? Or was he, did he sound exactly like you?
No, he's from Plymouth. So he's very similar to me.
But he had more of a thick accent, didn't he? That's from I remember.
Yeah. So he did. You're right. He did. You're right. So
when you phoned him and he answered.
He answered in the standard Jano way, which is get on.
Oh, really?
Yep. I said, all right, Dave, it's me. And he said, Dave who? I said, no. I said, it's Ben. Sorry.
Well, I mean, this is.
I think that's what confused him, is that I said it's Dave, and he said, yeah, I know it is. He said, get on, and I said, all right, Dave, it's Ben. He went, Ben who? I said, Ben from your tenant. He went, I ain't got any tenants. I said, yes, you have. I'm one of them. He said, well, which one then? I said, Connaught Avenue. He said, well, which one on Connaught Avenue? Because, as I said, he owned a lot of the properties there.
Wow, yeah, he's a busy man as well, I imagine.
Very busy man.
Yeah.
So gradually managed to whittle down which of his many tenants I was. And just explain the problem, that the boiler was working, but there was no heat coming from the radiator.
Sure.
And he said to me, I'll recreate it authentically now. He said,
if you could.
He said, what you need to do, boy, I'll tell you. You need to bleed the bloody radiator, don't you? To which I said, sorry, Dave, can you say that again? It didn't make any sense. He said, you need to bleed the bloody radiator, doesn't he?
Where was he from?
Plymouth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a strong migrant population in there?
Yeah. Very strong. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was from Zimbabwe originally.
Yeah. There was definitely. I heard the twang. I did hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
he's done well for himself, really. Okay. Yeah.
He'd done very well. Yeah. I mean, I assume he was a landlord. He was just in the house when I first went to see it. I walked in. He was there when
he was pretty insistent that he didn't have any tenants.
Yeah. When I walked, I went to view the house. Pretty sure I got the right one, but I walked in and Dave was there in his black and white striped top and a big bag over his back saying "swag."
Oh, really? Right. Which I think, is that's Zimbabwean for.
Go on.
For laundry, I think.
For laundry, yeah.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, actually, of course, I assumed it was because it was in Plymouth. It was Southwest Accommodation Group, but yours was better. Yours was better.
Okay, no.
Yeah. So, I explained the problem.
Yeah.
Said, I've got to see the director. He said, you need to bleed them. I gradually managed to decipher that's what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I need to bleed them, do I? Expecting that he would then tell me how. He just went, bye, and hung up.
Right.
So I'm there on my own, right? Absolutely no idea what bleeding the radiator was. I now know, as you rightly said earlier, that bleeding the radiator means letting water out of it. At the time, for some reason, and I understand this will sound silly now, I thought it meant put water into it.
Right.
As in bleed the air out by filling it with water.
Bleed in radiator.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, the bleed in radiator.
Yeah. Oh, I get you. Okay, top it up.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So I think to myself, and I don't know why at no point I Googled it, but I didn't. Wouldn't be as good a story if I had, would it? In 2008. Yeah.
I don't know. It's all a blur to me.
Anything since
the Falklands,
of course.
Yeah.
So I think, well, what I've got to do, I've got to get some water into this radiator. Now, what's the best way for me to do this? Clearly, I need to get water from A, being kitchen tap, to B, being radiator.
Okay.
How am I going to do this? Need to get a hose from somewhere. Now, it was a ground floor flat, as I say, but there was no garden attached to it. So a garden hose, or indeed any kind of hose other than hosiery, was not something that I had in my possession. My flat was, as I've said, part of an Edwardian building, which had originally been quite a swanky house, but was now divided up into 3 or 4 flats. The basement flat of which was owned by a fairly elderly couple. I forget the name of the fella who used to live there.
Dave?
The woman was called Tansy. Yeah, we'll go with Dave. But my housemate and I used to just know him as Captain Awesome for some reason. I forget why. It was about 83, 84, always smoking a cigar. That's probably why we called him Captain Awesome, to be fair. Yeah. Okay. And they owned the garden. So headed down, knocked on their door, hoping to ask them if you've got a garden hose I can borrow. Because they'd have done anything for me. They loved me. Lovely people. They're very much like the grandparents I already had.
Were they your grandparents?
I mean, it's possible, but as far as I'm aware, no.
No, okay, yeah, sure.
No answer. So I think, well, this is rubbish. I'm now outside in my dressing gown in -2 or 3. I don't know if you've ever been to, Plymouth or any of the Southwest in winter. It's bloody cold. Now, I realise I'm talking to a man in Iceland about cold, but you don't really know what cold is up there, do you?
Any Viking that hasn't gone to Plymouth isn't a Viking at all.
Yep.
You don't get your horns until you've pillaged Plymouth.
Well, exactly. I remember you telling me before. There's an expression where you are, isn't there? You go outside, it's chilly. People go, it's like bloody Devonport in here. Anyway, so they're not in. I think, well, I can't stand for this. This is rubbish. So I think I'm just going to go in and have the hose and explain later. So I climb over their fence into their back garden.
Okay, yeah.
It was kind of strange. So my floor was a ground floor flat, but there was like a sort of basement flat as well.
So they lived in the basement?
this does sound weird, but this is genuinely how it was. You had the front door, but you could go down to what I imagine at some stage were the servants' quarters or whatever, and that's where they lived, and they owned the garden and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So there was a front garden and a back garden.
How big were their eyes? How long had they lived there? Did they
in the basement?
Yeah.
I should clarify. It had windows. There was a sort of.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, there were steps that went down, and they had front windows, and I imagine windows out the back as well. So over the fence I go. Bearing in mind, I'm still wearing my Thomas the Tank pajamas and my dressing gown.
Sure, classic.
Yep.
Classic.
Yep.
Yep.
And I go hunting around down the side of the house for the hose. There's the tap. Hose is nowhere to be seen. I think, right, I'm going to have to go in the shed, isn't I? So I go open up the shed. Fortunately, not locked. Go in. There's the hose. I'm just reaching for it when suddenly I hear this terrible hissing sound. What the hell is that? I look up and staring right back at me, its face probably 2 foot from mine.
Badger?
No, not a badger. If it had been a badger, I think I would have had a heart attack on the spot because clearly very scarred from.
You've got previous. You've literally scarred from that. Yep.
Yep. No, it's their bloody cat, wasn't it? Massive, great thing. Sort of. Well, in my mind, it was a Bengal tiger. I'm pretty sure that's not a breed of domestic cat, but some kind of massive, great thing.
Maybe in Cornwall it is.
Yeah. Well, of course, this is in Devon. It's over the border.
Oh, well, then
so different country.
All bets are off then, aren't they? I think
exactly. Yeah, and maybe they sensed that I was. Maybe the cat. Maybe that was the issue. Maybe the cat had very strong views on immigration, and that's why it didn't like me being there. I imagine that's probably what it was.
I imagine that's what it was as well. Yeah. Okay.
So this cat's hissing at me. The bloody thing. I'd always hated it, and it always hated me. But I'd never encroached onto its territory before.
Right. Okay.
So I'm looking at this cat.
Mm-hmm.
Cat's looking at me, and we both know in that moment who blinks first. It's going to be the loser of this situation.
Yep, sure.
So of course I immediately blinked.
Of course you did.
I think there's only one thing for it. So I reach for the hose, which is right in front of me. Cat lashes out with one of his claws. Well, not just one, 5 of them. However many they've got on their paw.
A single claw.
Yeah, just one claw.
That seems even more menacing. Yeah,
it fired its claw like a tarantula.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it scratches at my hand. Bloody hell, the pain, terrible. But I managed to pull the hose away and sort of retreat out of the shed.
Yeah.
Back towards the fence. Having picked up the hose as I go, chuck the hose over the fence, clamber up over the fence. And as I'm going over, I feel this incredible pain in my right hand. Look down. Not only has he made a mess of it, but the little bugger has only left one of his claws in my hand, hasn't he?
Oh, no.
Yeah, and when I say in, it's not sort of just sticking out; it's properly embedded. It's broken off as he's swiped me. So he's left his mark on me in more ways than one. He's left his calling card, shall we say? So over I go. So sorry, holding the hose and legging it back up through the front door, up into my flat. Door slams behind me. I'm safe.
Okay.
Looking at my hand, there's quite a lot of blood emanating from this at the moment.
So ironically, you were kind of like a cat burglar. And a cat was trying to stop you.
Well, the irony was not lost on me.
Oh no!
At the time.
At that time.
Yeah. So I've got 2 problems now. I've got the blood pouring from my hand. I've got the claw, which clearly can't stay there, but I've also got the fact it's still absolutely Baltic in my flat.
Yeah.
So I think I'll sort out the heat problem, and while I'm doing that, once that's sorted, I'll sort out the claw. So. Take the hose.
Sure. You worry about the heat in the room before you take something.
I don't think you appreciate quite how cold it was, Austen. It was something else. You had to be there. So I grab one end of the hose, attach it to the kitchen tap using some gaffer tape.
Okay.
Take the other end, unscrew one of the valves. Radiator's got a valve either side.
Sure.
Unscrew one of them, attach the hose onto that. Again, gaffer tape it on. Turn that kitchen tap on, full power. There's a reassuring sort of whooshing sound of water, which I can hear all the way along the hose going from the tap to the radiator.
Reassuring?
Well, in my current circumstance, bear in mind I was so focused. I'm ignoring the claw hanging out on my hand, but But bear in mind,
something else to focus on. Okay, yeah.
So focused was I on the heating situation. Clearly, the radiator is filling up with water. I'm happy. Right, time to deal with this hand. I go up to my room, come down with a pair of tweezers, start plucking at the claw in my hand. Can't get any purchase on it. They're quite sort of slippery, the sort of nail material texture of cat's claws. Can't get any purchase on it.
Oh yeah. I've got a cat claw necklace.
Good. I meant to ask you about that. Actually, it looks lovely, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
I thought it might have been a shark's tooth, but no, cat claw makes much more sense.
Yeah, it's shark claws, very rare. Oh, shark tooth.
Shark claws even rarer.
Yeah, but you should see my cat tooth earrings.
Well, let's not fib. I have seen them. They are lovely. So I start digging. I think, I'm going to have to dig into the skin here. So I start using tweezers, trying to get them down into my hand. Bloody agony it was. Ooh. Pure adrenaline is coursing through my veins at this stage. Okay. That adrenaline was only increased when I hear a rumbling. No longer the calming, reassuring whooshing sound of water.
I've just had a rumbling sound. I'm not a medical man, but would chlorine be of use for an open wound?
I don't know if medical practitioners name every item purely based on what the problem it solves. Yeah. There's a rumbling coming from inside the room. I look over. There's clearly something very wrong. In my haste to get the claw out of my hand, I've neglected the radiator. I've neglected the very source of my problems. I start running over towards the kitchen tap, but I'm too late. There's a bang. There's a bang. I turn towards the radiator, but a split second later, it's already gone. The whole thing, I've filled it with water so much, but the pressure has been overloaded that it's ruptured and blown off the valve on the other end, the one which I haven't gaffer taped the hose to.
The metal valve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, such was the pressure.
Remember the pressure.
Remember the pressure. But both I and the radiator are under, right?
Yep.
It's only coming right for me, isn't it? That valve. I've only got
the radiator.
No, the valve. The valve.
Oh, I see.
Which is flown off. I've only got half a second, if that, to react. I put my hand up to my face to block it. I feel an impact on my hand, on my right hand.
Oh dear!
Suddenly, if possible, even more pain than I'd had in it already.
That's the same hand of the claw.
Exactly. I mean, what are the chances?
What are the chances?
About 50-50, actually.
Yeah.
I've done the maths. Searing pain in my hand. I think I blacked out for a second. When I come to, I look up. The radiator is now peaceful. There's a little pool of water just accumulating under it.
Under you?
Yeah. Under it and under me. So that's fine. I can deal with that later.
Peaceful radiator, yep. Check.
I look at my hand.
Oh dear.
There's a hole in it.
There's a hole in your hand, Ben.
Yep. The valve has passed clean through my hand, but ironically, taken with it not only a chunk of my hand, but also the offending claw, which I'd only moments previously been so keen to remove.
What you possibly needed was chlorine. What you actually got was claw out.
Claw out, exactly. I got claw out and Valvine.
Valvine. Ben, this sounds horrific.
It was horrific. It was at that point that I drew stumps, went to hospital, and explained the whole charade. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think they really believed me. But that was the time that I entirely unsuccessfully attempted to operate on myself.
Where was the operating on yourself part?
That was the tweezers.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Wow. I mean, and how's the hand now?
I mean, for a short time, I had a fairly significant cult following because, of course, I was able to sell myself as the second coming of Jesus. with the hole in my hand. People did ask why I didn't have any in the other hand or my feet. I said, well, it's because I managed to get away this time. I knew what was coming.
I guess you were a bit more popular than the original Jesus, because when you were hanging there, you could wave at people.
Exactly. That was exactly it. You know, I gave something back.
Exactly. The original Jesus was a little bit,
he was all,
people thought.
It was, it just, it hurts.
It's like, when footballers don't sign autographs, too busy.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what Jesus Christ our Lord was like. Now I've got a question for you, Austen.
Oh yes, Ben.
Please fill me in on the details of the time you spent 24 hours in police custody wearing only an adult nappy.
Sure. Okay. So the story when I spent 24 hours in police custody wearing nothing but an adult nappy or diaper for the American listeners.
Yes, of course. Oh, well done. Very nice.
I'm international.
Mm-hmm.
So this was when back in the 80s. Back in the 80s.
Right.
And I had started a leech farm down in.
Oh, that sucks. Sorry, that was terrible. Don't encourage that.
No, I will encourage it. Yes, I started a leech farm down in El Salvador.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So nice. I think I was 12. When I was in El Salvador.
Okay.
My parents had taken us down to South America when we were very young, and spent a bit of time in Argentina. The Falklands.
Okay.
And after that, I moved over to El Salvador. Well, worked my way up through South America. Spent a bit of time riding giant tortoise in the Galapagos. Racing giant tortoises.
Racing giant tortoises. Yeah. Very popular there, isn't it? Yeah.
It was a big giant tortoise racing scene down there, underground. Well, not underground. It was overground.
What was your I know my understanding is that giant tortoises have racing names very similar to racehorses. What was yours called?
In Ecuadorian, or in what would it translate to?
Oh, listen to your heart, please. Whichever you think we'd enjoy more. Okay.
Well, sorry for any Ecuadorians listening, but I'll use the English.
I wouldn't worry.
My tortoise. Sorry, what was it called?
Sorry, I understand why you're confused, because of course, when training, you use a snail, don't you? But you work way up to a snail. Snail, sloth, which you have to import. Then it's a tortoise, then giant tortoise, isn't it?
Actually, the one before giant tortoise is a sea turtle.
Really?
Because if you can keep your balance on a sea turtle,
then
you've got the right stuff for land tortoises.
I see. So you weren't racing them on land. You were racing them in the sea.
No. But you need to get your balance.
Right. Okay.
There's no.
I say a sea turtle would be like a fish out of water on land, wouldn't it? It'd be terrible.
Exactly that. And there's been innumerous giant tortoise racing deaths.
I know. There's been a few accidents, hasn't there?
It's up there with mosquito bites. For the population,
as a cross section of the population involved with giant tortoise racing,
it's 70%.
It's comparable.
75%.
Yeah,
Don't
because
know.
of course there's no mosquitoes there, so it is actually directly comparable.
It's a way the authorities can keep a control on the population.
Okay.
So it introduced, instead of restricting how many children you can have, they introduced giant tortoise racing as a way of thinning the herd.
Okay. The herd of giant tortoises, of course, already incredibly thin, very endangered, but they thought, no, it's worth it.
Which was why they had to start limiting the amount of children you could have.
Because all the children were growing up to race tortoises, of course. That makes perfect sense, yeah.
Because the tortoises were dwindling, the population was dwindling, you know. Yeah. So, yeah, it was what was my tortoise's name?
Yes, please.
Oh, I see. It was...
like you get like red rum.
Okay, yeah. Mine was... the tortoise was Terrific Terry.
Of course it was. Yeah. Okay.
Like I say, it doesn't translate directly.
I'm just checking the record books now. I can't see Terrific Terry this was underground. You've got to understand this. Not a lot of this was official. Oh, sure. Okay.
It's not televised. It's part of the lifeblood of Ecuador, Galapagos, surrounding, neighbouring islands. It's the heartbeat.
It's like a sort of unspoken thing almost. Everyone knows it's going on, but it's not official.
I shouldn't be talking about it now, to be honest.
No, sure. Well, please, if you don't want to go on, then let me know.
I'm gonna blur my face out, and I'm gonna change my voice.
If you would, please, yeah.
As you know, I don't normally sound like this.
No.
So I was quite successful. They called me the white medallion, is how it translated.
The white. Okay, nice, very nice.
Because the winners always got medallions. Because I won so many times that I was just synonymous with the winner's medal. With
winning, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And because I was Caucasian, I mean I'm pink, more than
yeah, fluorescent pink. Yeah,
but there's no Ecuadorian word for pink, so that to go for white. And so I did that for a few years, and then had a run-in with the authorities were always trying to catch us. They couldn't keep up with us. So luckily, when they tried to interrupt our meets, we could outrun them. So it's not
on the tortoises, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys, when you trained them,
right?
You should
faster than a man could run.
Once you
were the police also on giant tortoises with
no
blue flashing lights?
We had the run of the giant tortoises, literally.
Okay, right.
They were on normal tortoises.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains a lot. What? So one policeman per tortoise, or like one tortoise strapped to each foot, like roller skates?
It really depended on the rank of the officer.
Okay, sure.
Once I think you got to lieutenant or lieutenant, I'm not sure which. Then you got a double.
Okay, right,
one per foot. But still, once we'd greased the shells of a giant tortoise, the friction, like they cut through the air, so there was no.
They're notoriously very aerodynamic, aren't they? Yeah.
They're going to be sorely missed. I don't know what they're racing over there anymore.
No.
Maybe they've gone to the sea turtles, back to the sea turtles. That was, closest thing. But still, and I don't know how the police would try and catch them. Maybe on terrapins.
Yeah.
Anyway,
makes sense.
I feel like we've lost track here. So I become too famous, too infamous in
Right. Okay.
Ecuador.
Yeah. The white medallion.
Galapagos.
The white medallion is a wanted man by this stage, or wanted boy.
Yeah. So I left there at 16, 17, and made my way up to kind of Central America. They weren't aware of El Blanco Medalliano up there.
Okay.
So yeah, I ended up went through Belize and other Central American countries.
Sure. There's no need to name them now. We all know them. Austen, don't worry.
I'll just be going over old ground, won't I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In El Salvador, what was I doing? I was doing a leech. I got into leeches.
Oh yeah.
So, did you know a leech can drink the blood of a full-grown otter in less than a minute?
Really? No way.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of blood, isn't it?
I mean, to be fair, it takes them a while to get through the fur, but
through the pout, of course,
to chew through the fur. But if you shave an otter,
which you shouldn't, but people do, yeah.
Again, it's Central America. They've got their own traditions and stuff. So, a leech can drain a shaved otter in less than a minute.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Absolutely unbelievable. I suppose that's why they use the otter as the unit of measurement in most South American countries, don't they?
When you donate blood.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 otters, please.
And I found that I was just I was kind of down on my luck, just seeing what I could do there, and I met a man that was draining otters in a shed.
Right.
I was intrigued. I was sold on the idea. So
you thought this is the job for me.
I mean, everything else sucked, and this was ironically
the dream,
the only thing that didn't suck. And so I started an otter farm, shortly followed by a leech farm.
Okay, so one with an intention of setting up the other.
I wanted supply and demand. I wanted to supply the bullets and bandages, I think is the expression, isn't it?
Were these battery otters?
No, they were real life ones.
No, I mean, they kept in cages, or were they, like free to roam, and you had to then catch them in your, from the farm, or...
Well, they were free range otters, but I'm not an idiot.
No one would ever think you were, no.
I'm a bit of a thinker. I didn't leave Terrific Terry.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's what he was.
I didn't leave Terry to the mercy of the Galapagos. I'd smuggled him through South America, through Central America.
Wow.
And I had him with me.
See, you guys were on the run, which must have been difficult, considering.
Not difficult. Terry was quick. He was
okay.
If anything, that was where he'd like to be.
And of course, I know you said, but he was a master of disguise as well.
He was very good at being a hat or a backpack.
Yeah.
Or one huge shoulder pad.
Right. Yeah.
Or a medieval shield. He was quite good at.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Very useful.
And all of these, you could use any of them to get through passport control.
Yeah. They're not too stringent, are they?
No. No. Anyone that walks through with a medieval shield, I'm pretty sure they accept that in these times.
Yeah.
Every Tom, Dick, and medallion is going to have a tortoise shell shield.
Some kind of self-defense. Yeah, sure. No, of course.
Exactly. Central America is quite a quite a funny place.
Yeah. Notoriously very liberal when it comes to immigration.
It's worked for them. Everyone in, everyone out. No questions asked. And I think we've seen it's a successful model that countries could.
Very successful. Yeah.
A lot of the more conservative countries could learn a trick or two from.
Yeah.
So I had an otter farm and a leech farm, sistered with an otter farm.
Right.
Lucky Leeches.
Lucky Leeches, right? Yeah.
Was the farm, and the other farm was Some Like It Otter.
Very nice. Very nice.
And
nice, popular cultural reference there.
It was in Central America. Marilyn Monroe was.
Well, she never died, did she? As far as I'm concerned, she's the patron saint almost. She
didn't die. Maybe we'll bleep this out, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, she was in the next farm along.
Oh, really?
Yep, doing the rainbow trout.
A bit like one of the Nazi escapists from Germany.
She wasn't Nazi.
She found a haven in South America.
Still there, I think. And yeah, actually, she was kind of involved in the incident. I was down in the otter hollow, which is how I greeted them every morning.
Yeah.
And I was shaving every Monday morning. The otters got shaved. They knew they got shaved. It wasn't a surprise to anyone.
No.
Otters can be funny. Let's say they can be damn funny.
Nice. Okay.
Thank you. Sometimes.
Yeah. Good.
One morning, there was one of the radiators had just burst in the barn and made a terrible noise, exploding noise.
Awful.
And that spooked one of the otters. Sorry, Larry was a two-year-old, a little bit bitey as it was anyway, but generally okay. You can punch it out of it.
Okay. Old Larry.
But you can normally negotiate your way out of any real trouble with him. But he got spooked by the radiator, and a lot of the animals did. The trout next door weren't particularly happy, from what I understand.
Right.
And so he took a bite at me. Missed my fingers. Missed my 7 fingers. This happened twice before. One of them was quite successful. The other one was doubly successful. And he got my groinal area with one of his bites, which, as you can imagine, is not great on a Monday morning.
No, sure.
But still, carried on shaving the otters anyway, and it was fine. They were ready to go. And also, I just want to point out, you don't drain the otters to completion.
No.
Because that would be a terrible business model. You drain them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They've got. You basically take half an otter out of them.
Right. So you're leaving them alive.
Of course you are, because otherwise, I'm not the smartest otter farmer in El Salvador, but I do.
I'd wager you probably were, actually, but yeah, crack on.
But otters, within a week, they've replenished all of that lovely leech juice. So, so you do half an otter Monday morning, half an otter worth. Anyway, so I was shaving away, got bit, but it was painful, and it was leaking a little bit, but nothing that I thought was a problem.
And dare I ask, you say in the groin, nothing, not a critical area, just inner thigh. Are we talking?
There's a.
Oh, I see. 1,000 to 1 chance.
I had my hand down there as well.
7 fingers.
Exactly.
Reaching for okay.
Yeah. So it got a bit of thigh and a bit of knuckle, but as the day went on, and feeding leeches to the otters, we had a bit of a issue with one of the leech cages. It looks like it was kind of hidden from view at the start, but it looked like some of the leeches had eaten through a bit of the wire.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was. I say it was hidden, so you didn't really see it first of all. But so we were basically missing about 25 leeches.
Oh wow! Okay.
And but I say I didn't really notice that until afterwards. But it was only as the morning went on and my shorts were getting bigger and bigger that my next door neighbour pointed out to me at one point. She said, why are your shorts growing while you're shaving an otter? When normally you're quite relaxed.
Yeah.
With it. I said, what do you mean? And I looked down and my shorts were tight.
Oh no.
Tighter than normal. I mean, I like quite
what was it? It was the 80s, wasn't it? So
exactly. I like to show a lot of leg. I liked something, tight on your bum.
Why not?
Exactly. If you've got it, flaunt it.
Yeah.
And if you don't,
have a crack anyway.
So I had a quick look down. There was a good 20 leeches in and around my groin area. Could you believe that?
Been attracted to the blood. Yeah.
Exactly. They can move, not as fast as giant tortoises, but they can move leeches when they need to. So basically, I took them off. One of them they were like the sausages, and you're trying to get them off. Do you know how you get them off?
I wouldn't dare to dream.
You know the best way?
Go on.
Shotgun. The best way we found to get leeches off of a body is with a shotgun.
Right. Oh my God. Wow. I mean, that's precarious to say the least.
But luckily, I was quite good with a shotgun at that point.
It's very brave of you to use the word luckily about this situation. There's not very much luck about it, is there? My goodness me.
I was cocksure of myself. I got them all in a line, 20 sausages worth.
Yeah.
And shot the buggers.
Wow.
One shot. This is when you're good. When you're good with a shotgun, you can do it.
You have to be very good with a shotgun for that, because there's quite a spread on a shotgun, isn't there? So
yeah, that's the problem with a shotgun. So I probably did more damage than the leeches were doing.
I'm not surprised to hear it. Not at all.
So I bandaged myself up.
Right.
Marilyn, she'd been around. She'd been around the block a few times.
Yeah.
She said,
"It's nothing she hadn't seen before."
Austin, I've been around my fair share of leech-driven groin shotgun injuries.
Sure. Okay.
And the best thing, keep your
packer up.
Keep the chlorine away, and don't worry about bandages. What you want is an adult nappy. That will keep everything in place and soak up any of the beautiful leech juice dripping out of your groin.
Makes sense, doesn't it? It keeps it sterile. It's going to soak it up.
Exactly.
You can use that. Waste not, want not. Yeah.
Exactly. For some reason, she had a cupboard full of them. I'm not too sure what they were.
She's getting on by this stage, I assume. So yeah.
She was very active though. She could arm wrestle. Fuck me, could she arm wrestle?
Really?
Anyway,
Wow.
they called her Monroe the arm wrestling monster.
Okay.
In El Salvador.
So being Marilyn Monroe wasn't enough of a sort of, coup for her. It had to be, no, yeah, but what's your selling point? Okay.
You know what? She conquered Hollywood. She wanted to conquer the underground Central American arm wrestling world.
Having been the most famous woman in the world,
she wanted to be
slept with at least one president.
Yeah.
That wasn't enough for her. She thought, no, where my heart really lies is in the South American Arm Wrestling Championship.
Arm wrestling, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, makes sense.
Once she got a thumb over the top, it was just a matter of time.
Wow.
She was like Iceman out of Top Gun. She would just wear them down.
Wow.
Marilyn the Monster. Look her up. Anyway, so she, for some reason, I think basically, I think the adult nappies, she was getting on a bit, but I think that was because she was basically, when she arm wrestled, it was a war of attrition. So she could be there.
Okay.
She could be there for hours.
Wow.
Arm wrestling in one arm wrestle. Clever girl.
It's great stamina, isn't it, for an octogenarian?
She had eight legs.
Yes. No. Yeah. Yes.
She had two arms. Well, at least one of them was good. Anyway, so she lent me one of her adult nappies, and I drove to the hospital. I had Larry the otter with me, Larry Otter with me, just as proof of, so they could check his teeth out and stuff.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
When I got there, had to fill some paperwork in. Would you blooming well believe it? My car tax had run out.
Oh, no way. What a kick in the teeth with everything else you've got going on.
What a bite to the groin that turned out to be.
My heart bleeds very much like your groin, actually.
So as I was getting stitched up, the police come and took me away, put me in the cell overnight, and I was
what a drag.
Well, I wasn't dressed up that well, and that's the time I spent 24 hours in a police. And I don't know.
Very nice.
Ben, tell me about the time you had an all-you-can-eat buffet with Greta Thunberg.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Now that is a story from my very deep past. You ever been on a stag do?
I've performed on a couple of them. I've been hired for some.
Have you? Okay. Well, we weren't really into strippers on this one, so that's probably why I didn't see you.
More for you.
Anyway, so a guy I grew up with, very right wing. The kind of guy you go to school with. He's a friend, but then they develop certain views as they get older.
Radical, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So this guy, we were quite good friends at school. As time went by, we sort of drifted apart. I noticed from Facebook he was becoming increasingly right wing, which wasn't really my bag. Not to give too much of my political persuasions away.
Right.
But you know what it's like with people you're friends with at school. You kind of always stay in touch. Time goes by. I'm in my mid-20s.
Sure.
So they get an invitation via Facebook to come to his stag do.
Okay.
Now, this fella, Charles, we'll call him. I don't think
what was his real name?
Charlie. I don't think he'd made many friends in times since I'd seen him regularly, which is why I was invited.
Sure. Was it just you and him, or was there other people?
No, I think there was 4 or 5 of us. Now, most stag do's, they go to they go to Magaluf or go to Cyprus, and it's all about drinking and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Charles was not into that. In fact, as far as I can recall, he didn't drink. We were going to the Arctic Circle.
Okay, sure. Okay, yeah.
And we were going seal clubbing. Now, whether this was he'd heard that people go clubbing for stag do's, and it got lost in translation, or this was a real passion of his, who can say? Anyway, we're boarding a flight to from Gatwick up to
what's the airport?
Tromsø.
Oh, Norway.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, very good. We get the flight. I'm not really sure. I don't know any of these guys, but they all seem to know each other a little bit better than I think I'd been asked as an afterthought, if I'm completely honest. They're all there in their polo necks and what have you.
Polar bear necks.
Yep, all drinking G&T on the flight up. Sure. We arrive there. We get a hotel, and it was at this point, over a few drinks in the evening, that Charles revealed what we were there to do. We were going to get bussed out onto the ice, trek for a few miles, and then we're going to find ourselves some seals. Now, I don't know about you, but I had a few ethical quandaries regarding this.
Public transport is by far the best choice in the modern day.
Well, of course, yeah, it's cutting down on emissions, isn't it?
Exactly. I don't think you should really be hung up on. Okay.
But I thought about it for a bit, and I don't eat meat, so I wasn't comfortable with the idea of clubbing some lovely little seals to death.
So, clubbing and getting hammered were on the agenda, but just not.
I was fine with one, not so fine with the other.
I see.
So I thought about it, and I thought, well, I'll go, and I'll just pretend to be unsuccessful. Right, like sure. I won't.
You wouldn't just knock them unconscious? No, what would you do?
I'll just pretend not to catch one. I'll say, I nearly got to it and I slipped over. It's icy. How can it be?
Yeah, okay.
So we sort of agree on that. But then we all get hungry. We get on, and for dinner that night, he goes, "Oh, there's a buffet tonight, so we can get on." Okay. I'm tucking him. Again, no meat, but there's a bit of fish. I do eat fish. Some lovely potatoes, right?
Yeah.
In. And there's I'm helping myself to the last of the boiled potatoes. I'm pretty much nearly the last in the queue. And as I'm loading them onto my plate, I feel a tug on my arm. I turn around. There's a girl there, probably about 16, 17 years old.
Okay. Okay. This was a few years ago.
A few years ago now, yeah.
Okay.
And I turned around and said, hello. And she says, how dare you? I said, excuse me? She said, how dare you? I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. She said, there's many boiled potatoes there. You're taking all of them. The arrogance of this. And I said, oh, I'm very sorry. Do you want some boiled potatoes? She said, yes. So, of course, I left a couple.
Did she say you were robbing her of her new potatoes?
She didn't say it, but I could see in her eyes that's what she was implying, yeah. So I said, I'm terribly sorry. I left 2 or 3 potatoes. I'll be honest, I went and had the ones, roasties, treat yourself. I was trying to be healthy. I've been stopped from doing it, so why not?
No better excuse than making someone else happy. Yep.
Yeah. So tucked in, ate my dinner. We had a couple more drinks, went to bed. Next day, up on the bus, up into the Arctic Circle proper.
Mm-hmm. Proper. Okay. No messing around anymore. This has got real, right?
Yeah. A few hours on the bus. There was us. There was a group of us and a few other tourists from the hotel.
Sure.
Yeah, a couple of hours on the bus.
An organised tour.
Oh yeah. It was all it's a stag do, so it was so they drop us off, and our guide, who was called Komchi, I remember now.
Okay, where was he from? Was he Alaskan? Was he?
I think he was Inuit actually, so it was a long way from home.
Okay,
but he knew what he was doing. Let's put it that way. So he takes us out we probably walked for about a mile and a half before he stops and says, right, this is base camp. So we stopped there, and he says, "Right, here's what you need." And he takes out this holdall, and in the holdall, I'm not going to, sugarcoat it for you. It was hammers and pickaxes. I mean, instruments of murder.
Okay, yep. Or clubbing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Gives us, a hammer and a pickaxe each. Says, right, we go this way, and then we'll find what we're looking for. So we go. He wasn't German.
Where was he
don't know why.
Yeah.
It was Inuit.
Okay.
And if you know what an Inuit accent is, then you're a better man than I am.
With his faux German accent, you knew he was sounding ridiculous and Inuit as well.
Yep. Well, he already introduced himself. He said, "Hello, my name is Comchi. I'm from Northern Canada." It was strange. He didn't sound very much like it, but you don't question it. You don't question it, do you?
You don't question it when you've got a hammer and a pickaxe in your hand.
Yeah.
The accents are the last thing you're going to be.
Yeah,
sure.
So that Cromty led us out, chomping on his bratwurst as we went. And
were you? Wow. Okay. Well, whatever makes you bloodthirsty. Yep.
Well, I wasn't there for the seal clubbing. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. You were there for the blubber.
He leads us out and he says, "Okay, guys, here's where you're going to find them. You guys split up." And so we all split off into groups. I said there was 5 or 6 of us. Well, 5 of us. So 2 of the other guys, they'd go into couple, sort of pairs. And I said, "Oh, it's all right. I'll go off on my own." Because I thought, what better way to not have to actually murder anything than, to just be I can come back and say, "Oh, bad luck, guys. I didn't find anything."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
So we all go off, 2 pairs and me by myself. And I think I'm just going to wander around for a few hours. And I do find some seals. And I think, oh, this is, incredibly beautiful seeing them in a natural environment. What a terrible shame it would be to split their heads open over the ice. So I'm wandering around. There's a few seals. I don't know if you know, they generally live in colonies. So I found myself wandering into the middle of one.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 60 or 70 seals, I would say.
Okay.
Like scattered around.
I think in Scotland, the seals they're referred to as the billy colonies.
Of course they are. Yes, you're absolutely right.
There's a billy of seals over there.
There's a billy.
Yeah. So
I found myself in the middle of a billy, and I'm walking through it, having a good old time.
Mm-hmm.
When I see, there's a mummy seal there, or what I thought was a mummy seal, with a couple of babies. They were slightly different colour to the others. Most of the rest of them were sort of dark. This one was sort of diarrhea brown, I would say. but I wander over.
Majestic.
I'm like, if nothing else, I'll get some good photos.
Mm-hmm.
So I wander over to this, and it's clear they're not happy about me being there, mostly because they know most of the things that walk on 2 legs club them to death. I wander over and I think, I'll take it slow, it'll be fine. And there's this mummy, what I thought was a seal, and 2 little babies. And I'm getting closer and closer, and they're a bit scared of me, but they're okay. They're not running. They're just a bit cautious. I'm getting closer and closer. I reach for my pocket to get my phone out, take a photo. Next thing I know, something very hard hits me over the back of the head. and I'm down on the ground. This is not going where you think it is.
It's what the person shouted behind you.
I'm down. I spin around on my back. Yeah. Behind me, there's only a big daddy, what I immediately recognize as a sea lion.
Wow.
Now, these are a lot more vicious than your common or garden seals, right? They are, nasty bastards. Now, they're not walruses with the tusks, but they've got some pretty nasty teeth, and this is a big daddy one, probably 3 tons, shall we say, worth of blubber and, anger staring down at me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lying there, this thing's, and I'm begging it for mercy with my eyes.
You're begging Big Daddy for mercy.
Yeah. He doesn't speak my language in any sense of the term. He's pounding towards me. I'm on my back, sort of scrabbling away, but of course it's icy, so I can't really get any purchase. He's getting closer and closer and closer. I'm looking at him thinking, this is it. This is how I die. This thing is going to crush me to death or bite my neck or whatever. He looks at me, lets out this incredible roar, and rears up on, I was going to say his hind legs, but I haven't really got that. Just up.
No.
And just as his head starts to come down towards me,
yeah,
it explodes.
Wow.
His head is just gone. There's just a massive gore.
Yeah.
And sinew and whatever. Right. And it's just gone. It's just this headless torso, this until recently magnificent sea lion. Just there, and it just kind of flops to the floor.
So it misses you. So it was about to come down on you. The head goes, and then the rest of the body changes direction and misses you. It flopped down. If its head had been there, it would have been, on me. But
and the rest what was I was trying to sugarcoat it for you, Austin. But what was taken from it? It wasn't just his head. It was most of the lower neck. It was a significant chunk. It's just gone in a sort of red fan shape out on the ice.
Wow, that is descriptive.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, it's and I'm there, and of course I'm in shock. I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to get up, but I can't. I'm in fit. I can still hear the baying of the children, sea lions, and a mother behind me.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what.
Leave him. It's not worth it.
What has happened? What has happened? I prop myself up. I look to my left slightly, and it's the girl from the buffet. She stood there.
What on earth?
Splattered in blood.
Yeah.
A rolled up cigarette perched between her teeth. Not her lips.
Her teeth?
Mm-hmm. She's clenching it.
Yeah.
Staring at the void where this sea lion's head used to be. I managed to stutter. Thank you. She looks at me. Doesn't move her head, just looks at me. Flickers her eyes to me for a second. She says, "Thank you for the potatoes." And she turns. She's gone. And that was the time I shared a buffet with Greta Thunberg.
Smart Sound.
3 otters, please.